This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the month of February. January 9th, 2023. My name is Vern Carlson, and I'm the chairman of the commission. We have a short agenda tonight, and no public hearings, but just some discussion. Before we get started here, Alan, is there any changes to the agenda?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good enough.
There is. There's an item that was inadvertently placed under other open space representative, which you guys handled last month. And there's some confusion about that. We don't need to act on that or discuss it.
Okay, good enough. Okay, let me introduce our staff to you, which is up to my right is Andy Belovaco, is our town engineer. Next to him is Alan Fredrickson, our land use administrator. To my left is Katanya, is our clerk reporter. And next to her is Leslie, is our staff secretary. Next to him is Rod. Rod, would you?
Yeah, Rod Williams, alternate commissioner.
Jim Gillette, regular member.
Teresa Rancietto Veely, secretary.
Paul Wyman, vice chairman.
Brian Cummings, regular member.
Mark Parisi, alternate.
John Triano, alternate.
Okay. Well, what we have here is we have an 824 tonight, which is a referral to the town of North Haven, and Lynn Sadowski will explain that to us in a few minutes. And then we have no public hearings, and just a few things that we go on as we go along. Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Lynn Sadowski, Director of Public Works for the town of North Haven. I am here tonight to present you the 24 for the Town Green Bandstand. You'll have a packet that gives some samples of what we're looking for in the bandstand. And I brought this plan that Andy was kind enough to put together, showing where the grant. Alan, can I get up, or I don't want to mess up this?
Yeah,
Are you going to take this one? Okay.
I think she'll be able to pick you up on the other. Yeah.
Okay, great. So on the larger map, we're proposing a town green bandstand here, and this is the 50-foot front setback, and this is opposite Church Street or State Route 103. A little background is we had applied for a grant, the Steve Bryant Small Town Economic Assistance Program grant for a couple playscapes, the replacement of two behind the Mildred A. Recreation Center, and also a new bandstand on the town green. And that was in July of 2022. In September, the Office of Policy and Management made an announcement that we got the grant, $351,000 altogether. And they had taken us through some paperwork as far as, they assigned somebody from OPM to oversee us. We had to sit through a training by the CHRO, Commission on Human Rights, because anything over $50,000, you have to have 25% going to small business, women's business enterprise, and entity, minority business enterprise. And they talked us through different parts of the program, assigned us somebody from the Office of Policy and Management to oversee the grant. And here we are today. The first part is taking us through a section 8-24 for your review and approval, so that we can bring that next month to the Board of Selectmen. Essentially, it's a 1,200 square foot structure on a concrete pad, and our proposal is to, because we didn't have an engineering budget with it, our proposal is to put together a RFP, request for proposals, and invite folks in for a design build. We're giving them this layout as this is our ultimate goal, and then they will bring to us their proposals based on a price not to exceed $150,000. And we'll have a team of folks on our RFP panel, and they'll review the proposals that come through. And once we have somebody, we'll work to award that. I had to get that through the Office of Policy and Management Oversight, which they agreed to and put that in writing. I'm not sure if you have
Okay,
any
very
questions.
good. Well, no, I'm quite familiar with what you're doing there. Let me just go down to Ron. Ron, do you have any questions?
So these pictures, these just illustrative, it's not necessarily what's going, but it'll be
Correct,
something
yeah.
like this depending.
That is our goal. That's what we're gonna
Okay.
supply the contractors.
Okay, and then I guess the other question I have is I'm just figuring how this will be powered. There'll be conduit run somewhere, right, in it?
Well, what we do now is we bring electric to the showmobile, so this doesn't come with any electric.
Okay.
So
But there is power out there.
There's power
It's
out
out
there.
there.
The showmobile plugs in when they bring it in.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
there's a lot of power at the gazebo, but there's also where the large Christmas tree is, the whole underside has all the plugs.
Okay, great, thank you.
Just,
So good.
My question is, when you say showmobile, that's the trailer, I assume that's always there for the concerts?
Yes.
Is this going in that same place?
yeah, roughly,
Okay.
yep.
And you said 350,000 or something like that. Was that for both the playscape or just for this?
The playscapes and the bandstand.
So-
Jim, this price is roughly cut right down the middle, so it's actually 150 for the playscapes and
Yeah.
200 for the bandstand.
And do you anticipate that being enough to get the bandstand done? What I'm asking is the
Yes.
town gonna put in any money, or are we presuming it's?
We have a 20% match or $70,000 of the grant we have to put forward.
So we have, the town's gonna put some money in?
Absolutely, yep.
So the 20% of it,
Mhm. Yeah.
so they're hoping the whole thing will come in at like under 240 then, right?
Well, the 351, it's actually 351, that includes the town's match of
Oh, it does.
70,000. It
Okay.
does, yeah.
So you gotta get it to come in inside 2.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My only question.
You good, Jen?
Yep.
Teresa?
No, I don't have any questions. I know we've been working on this for quite a while, and Rotary Club talked about, working with the town too, so there's probably some opportunity for groups to help out as well. Okay, no,
Paul?
thanks.
No question. Did we ask for permits for people having private events like weddings and something like this, or we just let it go ahead and go?
Can we ask?
Yeah.
Brian, what we see now with regard to folks wanting to use the gazebo,
Yeah.
sometimes it's, they'll come to us, say, we like to get married on the gazebo, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful structure, they love the town green, and we just say, provided there's no alcohol, it's less than 25 people, like, we have certain limitations that we do.
Okay.
I wouldn't know if they'll request this, they really love, everybody loves to get married on the gazebo, yeah,
Do they charge?
no. No, they do not.
Are you asking for the next time? Sorry.
I do have some personal
Do we
experience
need cost
with
money?
Never mind, sorry.
You good?
I'm good with this.
No questions.
John?
Solid pitch, no questions.
Okay. Staff, you're okay? Lynn, I guess we're good?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for your consideration.
Okay, the next one we got coming up, we got right down to, we have this, the approval that we had on 37 Pondville Road for the changing it from the water, from the city water to well water. And we put it out to our town attorney, which came back with a letter to us, an explanation to us that we should put this out for a public hearing. So we're looking to put this for a public hearing next month, February 6th meeting will be a public hearing for the water on that piece of property. Any questions?
Regarding the public water, right?
Yes.
Removal of the public water condition.
Yeah.
Right, removal of the condition, of approval.
So is somebody going to make an application? Is there gonna be a formal application?
Jeff's letter didn't address that, and I asked Jeff of that, and he said, no, it should just be a public hearing, that's the process.
So you're gonna notice it as a public hearing regarding the removal of the water on Pond Hill Road?
That's what I was going to do, was publish it as a modification to the conditions of the subdivision approval. So I can state
Well, my question is...
clearly that that's what it is.
if it were a normal public hearing, would notice be given to neighbors? If it was an application that required a public hearing, would
Yeah,
it be noticed?
Yeah, it would.
So what are we doing about that?
I don't know. If we've
Probably
got,
should find out.
if we've got to require it,
Well, he's kind of telling us,
Then we can do it.
I read
It
this,
is,
which
yeah.
was exactly what I said we should have done when we brought it up in the first place, which got ignored. So now we've been told we got to do it correctly. So I just want to make sure what correctly is. So somebody should have a discussion with town council. Are we supposed to, if we're supposed to have a public hearing, fine, good. That's what I thought we should add in the first place. But one of the reasons to have a public hearing is to let the public know about it. And if it were a normal application, as I understand it, it probably would have been noticed to the people within our
100 feet.
100 feet, right? So is that gonna happen? Does that need to happen? And if the answer is it doesn't need to happen, I'm perfectly fine with that answer if town council says that's the answer.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we presume that that is a requirement? And if Jeff says it's not, which quite honestly, I can't fathom at this point,
Me too.
then we, you know,
How
I
do you
guess.
do it?
Would the town send out, would your office send out notice? I mean, that's
We-
not, that's a little odd.
We can send them and just notify of it. And
Which is fine by me. I mean, normally an applicant would do it, obviously, but I didn't.
I don't think that'll hurt, sending that out, sending, notifying the
Well,
neighbors.
That's
yeah.
the whole point.
Yeah, I think it's important because the whole idea is you're letting the public know about this public hearing that's gonna happen. If something changes later, you're kind of thwarting the whole process because then they don't know that this has changed later. So I think it's in the spirit of whatever the person.
And quite honestly, I would rather do it from our office because, again, the normal process is the applicant would send out the mailing and then they have to get the names and the addresses from the town, from the assessor, and then we have to review all of that submitted material, and quite frankly, it's easier to just send it out, and many towns send those notices out. Wallingford sends them out themselves.
Right.
So I would prefer to just send it out to make sure that it could happen at the next meeting.
You check with Jeffrey?
Yeah, sure.
So who makes application? Are we making our own application?
Well, we're not. We're going to use the same request, but it's going to
Okay.
be put as a public hearing to modify
Okay,
the condition of approval.
all right, I get that. Okay.
Good to go? Okay?
Sure.
Very good. So we'll take care of that in that manner. Okay. Going down, we don't have any extensions. We have Washington Avenue. Rod, this is that 342 Washington Avenue that concerns about the trees. You recall that? I put it back there. Yeah, I was going to speak with Andy about that right now. They added some trees, I guess, after that. I'm not sure it's to anybody's satisfaction, to be honest with you.
So what they did is they replaced trees that had died. The small trees that were there that died, and they came in and replaced the ones that were dead. And they may have added one or two other ones, but they did not touch the small trees, which has been the whole contention of this issue. I mean, my take on it is, the trees were there as a screen to the dumpster against the residential properties next door.
Right,
A tree this big is not a screen, and that's my take on it. If the commission feels differently, that's fine, but that's the way I've been treating this.
And because
Rod,
the
there
work,
is not much there to shade, to block from them. I mean,
because
I
they're
don't
the
feel like
work,
it's
they're
all-
never gonna screen the dumpster.
They're never gonna separate the shading of the dumpster from the residential property. Andy has a picture of it there. Andy, can we get up that picture? I want to show it to Rod. But, you know,
I've seen the picture.
This big.
no, this is a little different.
So what are you saying, Glenn? I'm not sure what this says.
I'll show you one
Can I
second.
just kind of figure out who's sitting on this? I wasn't here for this the last time. I know Rod was.
Well, but to a large extent, it's a re-request, and it should be the 5 regular members. If you'd like to defer,
Yeah,
because
I'm gonna
of,
defer, because he was here for
Yeah,
this debate.
okay.
I was not here for the debate,
Listen.
so I'm out.
I just want to say that my concern at the time had nothing to do with the visual. What I understood was that the applicant was saying, essentially wanting their bond back, and hadn't, in my view, performed what they had been obligated to perform, which was to create screening, because there were trees, but as I understood it, the trees didn't adequately sort of provide what they were supposed to provide. So this, I don't know what we're saying, like this is all that's ever going to grow there, but if we're going to follow this further, I'm looking at the diagram that was attached to this package that Attorney Cofrancesco submitted, and it looks to me like there are these circles that represent the trees that are supposed to screen this thing, this dumpster area, and the tree in these circles are actually pretty large, and the space between them is pretty small. So when I look at that, I think, okay, well that will actually be something that blocks the view. And these trees don't really conform to the spirit of it. So the letter says, okay, you know, we've done everything that was approved. But in my mind, what the commission approved, I wasn't on this, I wasn't on the commission, or I don't remember having any role in this when it was done. But you look at what is represented on the paper, and yes, that looks like an adequate screening. That will hopefully satisfy the neighbors, and they won't have to look at this fence in this dumpster. And those trees don't really look like what I would have envisioned if I were looking at that. I wasn't there, but that's my concern about it.
Now, it looks like the trees behind the dumpster are a lot
Those
larger.
look a little bit better.
Yeah.
They're pretty far
But
apart.
the ones between the residents in there are only this big. It's
Right.
just ridiculous.
You know,
Right.
they don't think it's satisfactory to anybody here, so,
Okay.
you know.
Sounds like
Is the applicant aware that there's an intent here that we want them to put up a barrier and not just the spirit of planting the trees?
Well, I think that's their contention, is that they told us they were gonna plant dwarf spruce, that's what's on the plan. Okay, so in my mind, you know, a dwarf spruce like this that's gonna grow would be all right, you know? Not a tree this tall. And that's, to me, that's the insult of it, you know? You put these little itty bitty tiny trees in.
There was some-
Now, you should have understood through the process that those were intended to screen
Well, it was-
residential next door.
Well, Andy, you was asked several times to change those trees. In the beginning, there was only 5 or 6 trees. I don't recall
And
exactly.
and the other part too is they went through and they replaced the dead trees, but they did not replace the small trees. And that's my issue.
Yeah, well, okay, well,
so Andy has corresponded with them and tried to explain that the commission's concern and intent, the intent of the regulation is to screen the dumpster. That's why it's there, not to contribute oxygen or what have you. So the whole idea was to get something that was more substantive. So, you know, I think Rod was the one who actually showed some ire, you know, about the situation, if I could use the word. But that's, you know, and just understanding, kind of going back, they had an initial approval and they built something and they asked for their bond back, and it did not match the approval, what they had built. So they came back for another approval, and that was approved by the commission. And it modified things slightly, and it centered around an island on the southwest corner of the structure. So they did work out a way to get around the requirement for the island within the regulations, and that was approved. So there have been several modifications, and, you know, if I could really say this, I think the commission has done many things to try to, I don't know if I'd say meet them halfway, but to be flexible in terms of the regs. But we're kind of down to this one last issue.
And we worked with them on a number of other issues, you know, that to me weren't quite 100%, but okay, you know, we met out there, we talked about what their problems were and stuff. So, you know, I don't want to say we made major concessions, but, you know, we worked with them on most of these issues.
And
The tree issue is the one that just, we can't come to terms on.
They've come about on that because that property does look very nice.
It does. They did a great job out there, absolutely.
We also had to move the handicap parking, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the issues that we dealt with them on, you know.
Well, they were pretty firm. They were not going to change those trees. I mean, I talked to those people. I talked with, with, I guess, the son-in-law when I went out there, and I spoke with him, and I went back to meet with his father, and who explained to me that that was it. And so I just walked away from it, let it go, and let staff handle it. But that's where we are right now. So in any event, I guess we'll just stand firm where we are, Rod, and leave it alone. And do you guys agree with that? Who's on this? Teresa, you agree or not?
So it's Brian, Paul, you, Teresa, and Rod. And Jim will recuse or what have you.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Yes,
good enough.
I'm with you, yes.
Yeah, all right. Okay, that's pretty much it.
Are you inclined to make a motion and vote, or you just want us to advise them of the?
I think we should just advise them. I mean, we've been playing along with it that
What are we
long now.
advising them of, though?
No, but what would you vote on? Because
Yeah.
at this point, you're not gonna give them the bond back. That's where you are,
No.
right?
Would you vote to
Deny the bond.
disapprove the bond release pending the replacement of 5 trees or whatever?
Well, you already have voted to deny the bond release.
That's why I don't know that you have to do anything.
Yeah, I don't-
mean, it's just
Yeah, it's fair.
they've made another pitch. You guys aren't buying it.
Right.
You got
Good
it.
luck.
Well, they got the attorney involved, as you saw that letter.
I saw it, I read it.
And we asked them to come.
Yeah.
You know, if they had a point to argue, or they wanted to have a discussion with the commission, they had every opportunity. We've asked them to come to 2 or 3 of these meetings, and they've refused, so.
All right, we just leave it as a dead issue.
Good enough.
And the nice thing is, sometimes we get in a little trouble with our characterization of a situation. And the beautiful thing is, our wonderful friends from NHTV are here, and we'll have that tape on. And if they have any questions about the feelings of the commission, you stated what you stated, and they can get it from the commissioner's
I personally don't
mouth.
think you need a vote. I mean,
So,
that's kind of my.
fair enough.
I don't care if you do one.
No, I'm not gonna vote on
I don't think you need it. You
it. We're
already
not
said
gonna
no.
vote on
Yeah.
it. Okay. I think change the use. 79-91 Washington Avenue.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, guys. All right, so, you guys hear me okay? My name is Jimmy, I'm from Milford, and we are here today on Washington Street for Browser by Banner.
I'm sorry, can you say your name, spell your name?
Last name.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Jamil Azari.
J-A-M.
M-I-L, last name A-Z-H-A-R-I.
Alright. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so you want a change of use on, to go from retail to a service, is that it?
Yes.
What exactly do you do?
So, the services that we're gonna be providing is waxing, eyebrow waxing, filling, and lashes.
Oh, I see, okay.
Brow list.
Browser.
That's interesting. Teresa,
I think
that
it's-
might be up your alley.
I think that our
That wasn't
chairman,
sexist.
I think our chairman needs to understand that everybody does brows, don't they? Thank you, thank you. We all have them too. But I think that's a good business and yes,
Okay,
I'm good with that for
okay,
I'm good with it too.
okay.
Regardless of gender.
All right.
I'm good with it also, no questions.
It's a little close to the grill, but
I'm good with it.
Mark?
no comments. Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
good enough, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one more, 342 State Street.
Hi, my name is Heather Fitzgerald with Yellowbird Real Estate. So we want to change it, we're getting ready to sign a lease and we'd like to make it a real estate office.
And you're gonna go from service now to an office.
I was not originally
What is that?
in the
Yoga
office.
studio.
It's a new lease.
It's a yoga studio to the,
Yeah, we got four.
So the space itself, it says it was
It was
a
a
yoga studio.
It was my former yoga studio, not
So-
my brow place, but it was my former yoga studio.
So if I could maybe just avoid trying to categorize what a yoga studio is, whether it's a physical culture establishment, a service, an office, whatever, let's just call it a yoga studio. And it's gone.
So we'd like to move in February 1st to make it a real estate office.
Okay.
Okay. I think we all know what that does.
We sell houses.
Anybody on the, is anybody, any questions or?
No, good.
No, okay.
All good.
Good enough. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like I got it all here. Okay, no correspondence. I guess we're gonna get a motion was it deliberation?
I'll make a motion to go into deliberations.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Paul, Jim, take care of that.
Yeah. Take care of the, yeah. So I'll make a motion for a positive referral for the bandstand, whatever we want to call it, at the town green for the construction of a new bandstand, as presented by Ms. Sadowski.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Very good. Another way. Okay. And a motion to approve the, no, we don't have to, we're not going to vote on this, no. The next one down would be, no, that would be,
The,
that
Washington
was
Avenue
referral,
grounds.
I'm sorry, okay. Next one down, that was no on that. Now the bond release, we're not gonna do anything with the bonds, right?
Right.
Okay, nothing with that one. So the change of use,
Yep. I make a motion that we
79,
approve 79-91 Washington Avenue for a brow space.
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All in favor?
I did aye.
Okay. Teresa?
Aye. Oh, I make a,
42.
I make a motion for 342 State Street for a change of use from yoga studio to real estate office.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's no correspondence. The minutes for, can I motion to approve the minutes for December 5th, 2022?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last month, December 2022.
I'll second.
Okay, have a motion and a second,
Teresa
all in
made a motion
favor?
to approve the minutes.
Oh, we were talking about, okay.
Aye. Paul seconded.
Okay.
Are we good?
I think you're good.
Seconded,
Yep.
okay.
And it was approved.
Oh, we voted?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
Okay, good enough. Very good.
Aye.
Anything else? No. Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.